Hi guys, Roy here, All Things Yoga. So today's session, it's a continuation from last Wednesday's session. So we were looking at alignment and lines of force. So today I'm going to tease out all the standing postures, all the different positions that the feet and legs are in, the hips. We're going to look at how to root to get our center, how to rise, how to get the lift back up, and that resistance force it's going to create a tone. So I want to explore how to incrementally increase the tone, and that brings on control in the muscles, because it'll generally be more, it'll be stronger, muscles will be firmer, than if we were just standing passively on the mat without resisting into the mat. Is the muscles don't really work as much. When we resist into the mat, there's a very direct effect on the tone of the muscle, and it's that increased tone and decreased tone that I want to explore today. So I'm really just going to look at the legs. I'm going to look at the positions that the feet, legs, and hips find themselves in different postures. I'm not teaching you a posture today. I'm teaching you body awareness and exploring your alignment and then the anatomy of your movement, how your body moves. So what do I mean by that? Is I'll get you to do a position, any position. I'm doing a position now. So whatever position you're in, I want you to find the four corners of your feet. I want you to find that place where your feet are connected. I want you to find your center of gravity where you're in your natural sway, because that keeps the spontaneous tone and release in your legs. So you're in your center of gravity, and then within that is we're going to start to resist. You know, we'll do the bounce, and we look to find the root and rise, and then we'll start to resist into that and create more tone. And then we're going to explore, as we create more tone, how the mechanics of the body naturally move. And you'll start to recognize different postures. Everything from mountain posture to chair to forward bends. Here's warrior or triangle. We step out for warrior two. You know, you'll notice that we're incrementally extreme wide-legged stretch. This is incrementally setting the body up, so we incrementally take our feet out. Equally, when we step back, we're stepping back, then we're stepping back more, and we're incrementally stepping the body back further and further. We're making it more complex as we go further out the feet. So that's all I'm going to explore with you today. Is as we explore those different positions, rather than trying to get the posture right, is get your body right, get your alignment, and then within your alignment is find the root and the rise, is your anatomy and movement that allows you to move with stability, that allows you to move with mobility. So you've got the mobility of your joints, and then there's the limit of your flexibility and how far you can go into that while staying grounded, keeping the body open, and then going and exploring your edge. And it's the edge of your body and how your body moves, rather than trying to achieve the posture. Is figure out your body first, and then all the postures is get resolved far quicker, because you're working within your own limits, and you're learning your strengths and your weaknesses, and you're learning how to work them together. So what do I mean by that? Is if you look at different parts of your body, you'll have more conscious control over some parts than other parts. Then other parts will be too tight, other parts will be too weak. Is how do you get all those parts of your body working together? So we're going to look at how to incrementally increase the tone. And one of the things we're going to look at today is I want you to focus on the weaker parts of your body, and then what I want you to do is I want you to control that part of your body, and then have the rest of your body supporting it. So, as an example, if I step out and I'm going to do 3.5 feet or so for triangle, I turn out to my right. This is how I used to be. I used to have a lot of flexibility in this leg, and I could go really far into my flexibility. But on this leg, it wasn't so flexible, and I used to try to force this leg to push to what my right leg could do. And in that is, all I was doing is creating more instability. I was pulling myself apart rather than bringing myself into one place, into one center. So as we explore your legs today, as you feel the tone increasing in your legs. So if you're working on both legs, if your left leg is weaker, I want you to work at the strength of your left leg, have your right leg support what your left leg can hold. And the reason being, you're only as strong as your weakest link. So when you focus on your weaknesses and support them, is then your weaknesses get stronger. They're not weaknesses anymore. If you just focus on your strengths and then you focus on those and you ignore your weaknesses, or you push your weaknesses to keep up with your strengths, you're only making yourself weaker. Okay? So we're exploring that today, and we'll see how it goes. Okay? So let's start with the practice. Is if you can separate your feet about 4 to 6 inches apart, and if you put your thumb at the crease at the top of your thigh, your fingers are at the side. So here's the ball and socket joint. So when you do this, there's the crease. So your thumb is going to come down through your knees, your ankles, to your second toe. Okay, and that's generally the width of your hip. So teachers will say 4 to 6 inches apart, depending on that alignment. Okay, and then your feet are the guideline is like a railway line, but you're not to be rigid in it, because everybody naturally does a small amount of 10 to 2 as a natural balance. Now, partly why that happens is that you've got three arches in your feet. So the main arch is big toe to the inside of the heel. That lifts up. That spreads across the pad of your foot. So you have a second arch from the big toe to the little toe. So the arch lifts and it spreads. And then you've got the third arch from the little toe to the outside of the heel, and that grounds the outside arch. So you may, if you find yourself standing too much to the outside of your heels, then you would take your heels out a little bit until you feel the 4 corners of your feet grounded. So if you ever so slightly bend your knees, just slightly, I want you to begin to sway around the 4 corners of your feet. And in that, you're beginning to activate the 3 arches of your feet. So a nice way to describe it is you're just beginning to settle, coming into your ground. So you're letting yourself rest down through your bones. And as we sway around our center of gravity, is the muscles start to tone and you start to get that nice little lift. So while you're resisting down through the 4 corners of your feet, the 3 arches of your feet are gently toning. And just begin to sway and come into your center. And then come into your center of gravity. So this is what we're doing. We're going to center ourselves, come into our center of gravity, and begin to feel 2 things in your muscles. A tone and then a release. And notice that it's a spontaneous tone and a spontaneous release. And you're just consciously activating your muscles, and you're just coming into that balance of effort and no effort. It's just a lovely way to feel your center and then feel your center of gravity. Your center of gravity keeps your center organic, keeps it alive. It's a living experience as opposed to a passive. You're resting through your feet and you're just in that passive connection. It's not passive, it's active. It's a living experience. So you'll feel your feet press into the floor a little bit more. And as you roll around the 4 corners of your feet, it's like a massage, pressure and release. It's very soothing, it's very grounding. Okay, and then you're going to find that tone circulates around the muscles of the legs. So you're going to feel your calves, your shins a little bit, you're going to feel your thighs, your inner thighs, your hamstrings, your glutes. Then notice in the sway that it moves like a wave. You get this lovely wave effect. And if I asked you to consciously tone your muscle like a wave, you wouldn't be able to do it. You wouldn't be able to consciously tone the muscle like a wave. So the tone is moving like a wave through the muscle. But when you sway around your center of gravity, you can feel that tone move like a wave. You get these lovely waves of sensation and then a lovely wave of release. And again, it's a grounding down, but at the same time, it's a toning up, resting down through your bones, coming up through your muscles. So you got the stability of the ground, and as you feel that tone, it opens up your joints, it gives the muscle integrity, and it gives you the lift, and that gives you your mobility, your space to move in. So notice as you sway around, you've got the swivel joint of your ankle, and you're rolling around the swivel joint of your ankle while your foot is planted. It's stable. And then you've got the hinge joint of your knee. So your hinge joint between your foot, then your ankle is a swivel joint. So you've got this planted. Your hinge joint gives you another sense of stability. So you can roll around the swivel joint of the ankle. And then you can roll around the swivel joint, the ball and socket joint in your hips. And you're just rolling around both joints, the hips and the ankles. And you've got stable foot, stable knee, and then a stable pelvis. So you want your pelvis to be level, it's neutral. So a good way to describe it, if a person isn't sure, is my pelvis neutral or not, is one of the things you'll feel is a tone in your pelvic floor. If you've got your feet grounded and your legs are engaging in their center of gravity, you'll feel a tone in your pelvic floor. You'll feel a tone in your abdominals, your obliques at the side, and your lower back. But if you're not sure, is you stick your bum out a little bit like a duck. So think about the pelvis, you're tilting it, you're spilling it. So it feels like your abdominal wall is spilling out, your lower back gets tight, and you lose the tone in your pelvic floor. Now it's micro movements. Is what you do is you send your tailbone down a little bit. It's a small little movement down, and as the tailbone goes down, you get a sense of your pelvis tucking. But it's the tailbone going down, and what happens is that your pelvic floor starts to draw up, your abdominal wall starts to draw in, you're activating your core a little bit. Simply by rooting and rising. And you've got that lovely natural integrity. And then you're swaying around that natural integrity. So now there's a tone and an intensity that we want to bring into it, where we're going to activate our lines of force, and then we're going to play with that by putting our feet in different positions and then testing it through our legs all the way through our pelvic floor and our core. I'm not going to spend too much time really on the upper body today. Another session, of course, I'll be doing forward bends, I'll be doing twists, I'll be doing back bends, doing inversions, balancing postures. So different sections, but today we're just looking at standing. Okay, so now a locked out leg, and I know I'm repeating last week, is because it's anchoring everybody in, and then I'm going to build on. So a locked out leg is when you keep the four corners of your feet connected. You're in your center of gravity. So you're going to hold those four corners of feet connected. You're not going to let yourself lean into your heels, essentially. Yeah? You want to keep your pelvis stable. So the feet are planted and the hips are planted. They're both stable. So that stabilizes the ball and socket joint in the hip, and it stabilizes the ball and socket joint in your ankle. So we're going to use the hinge joint of the knee to create power, where we're going to use the hinge joint and the leg muscles that push more firmly down through your feet. At the same time, as you draw more firmly up through the leg muscles, you're going to get a tighter tone in your pelvic floor and your core. Without even trying, your core is going to get tighter. That's how you know you're getting it. Okay, so I'm gonna do it now, and you can follow me as I go along. Four corners of the feet. Slowly push your knee joint back, but as you do, you're going to firmly pull up through your thighs and keep the pelvis neutral. Send the tailbone down ever so slightly. So as your thighs are getting firmer, you're still keeping the four corners of the feet, the tailbone down. So as your thighs are drawn up, feel your pelvic floor tighten, feel your core tighten. And you're locking out your legs. That's your line of force. So from the foot, through the leg, through the hip, through the pelvis, to the spine, to the core, you've got your line of force to your core. Okay? If you try this, give this move, you'll feel the core is nice and toned. Okay? So that's your line of force. Okay, so a hyperextended leg is passive. So when we just lean into the heels, so we're not staying on the four corners of the feet, we lean into the heels, we don't try to stabilize our pelvis, so that will send the bum out a little bit. Okay, now from there is we just passively lean into the knee joint. So there's no muscle tone to root and rise, it's just leaning into the knee joint, and the thigh muscles aren't really doing very much. So a lot of weight goes on the joints, not so much tone in the muscles, and there's no strength in that. There's a false sense of stability. When we're unaware of it, is that connection between our heel on the ground. It gives us a stability of a type, but it's not strong. It's not done with awareness, and it's not in our center of gravity. So really what it is coming down through the locking the joints. It wears the joints away and it weakens the muscles. So long term it's not a very good thing. I think I might have said it last week as well. You'll get younger people throwing all types of shapes in their standing. But I promise you'll see very few 40 plus or even 30 plus, but 40 plus people, you'll see very few doing this or doing it for very long. Because by that age is the joints, leaning in the joints like that just isn't a pleasant experience anymore. So as we get older, we're motivated to find that place where the body stays a little bit more active, and so that the pain in the joints doesn't build. And it will be better if we engage in that as an actual lifelong practice, right from the very beginning. So if you're standing about your day is now, I'm gonna soften this out. Imagine just standing with your knees slightly soft every time you stood, and you just stayed in your center of gravity. You just stayed actively in it, and you're sharing the load through your muscles. So there's no one group of muscle that's working too hard, as you're really stacking your weight, and then you're moving through waves, which is very relaxing. So that spontaneous tone and then that release keeps the body engaged, doesn't let the tension build up, so that you release the tension in the release, and that you hold the tone of the body in the sway of the tone, and you're just sharing the load all the time. Okay, so it's a very healthy thing to do, very vibrant thing to do, so that you can maintain that rise. I've said in other videos, is that youthful vibrancy of youth when the rise is coming up through us, and we're everything's growing, and we're in that phase where the body is naturally lighter. As we get older and the body stops growing so much, we reach a physical peak, is other things have to kick in. We have to mature in our understanding of how the body works, how alignment works, if we are to keep that vibrancy with awareness. And really what we're looking for is understanding the yield, the root and the rise. Okay, so I know you've heard that a lot if you hear it often, but there's no harm in hearing it over and over and over, because it fills in all the gaps. It fills in all the gaps. So now let's have a look at a few other postures. What we do first. Okay, I'm going to show you how to activate the root more. Okay, so it's very simple. We're still in mountain posture. Your knees are ever so slightly soft, so you feel the ground. Okay, your pelvis is neutral, you're in your sway. If you just bring a tone into your fingers, just fingers are straight and a little bit apart, and again, just let the rib cage come neutral with the hips, let the head come neutral with the rib cage. Breathe a little into your navel, your rib cage, and your upper chest, and just let yourself sway a little bit. And then the pace of your sway is let your breath come into that same pace, and just begin to breathe that lovely pendulum effect in your sway and then also in your breath. So what we're going to do is I'm going to get you to now gently bounce in the knee. So I'm going to get you to basically bounce a little bit in the knee. So the bounce is in the knee itself. So it's not this mechanical. Think about all the ligaments around the knee joint, all the muscles, all the tendons. Is the knee joint is very stable, and what we're doing is we're bouncing in the root and the rise. So as you bounce, it's like you're trying to push your feet into the mat a little bit. Okay. Now you'll notice that when you do this, is you'll feel your feet ground themselves more. Keep doing it. You'll feel your feet plant more into the floor. At the same time, is a very subtle pumping of your thighs. You feel a bit of pumping in your thighs. Now I haven't asked you to tone anything. I've just asked you to do that very subtle bounce. And again, it's a little bit of vigor. You'll see the vigor that I'm engaging with. I'm basically springing in the mobility of my own joints. Now I'm not compounding. Okay, there's no compression. I'm actually just bouncing. I'm bouncing with the earth. There's a spring in the earth. I'm just bouncing with it. There's a spring in my body, and I'm bouncing in it. And it's really nice, very grounding. You'll feel the thighs engage more. And notice you're beginning to increase the tone in your legs, but yet I'm not asking you to tense anything. What I'm asking you is actually to do one thing, is to hold that connected point in your center. So stay in your center of gravity and just do a little bounce and observe how your muscles respond. Now that you're incrementally toning your thighs, your calves, your pelvic floor, your glutes, your core, anywhere you feel. Notice how it's all getting a little bit more toned, but yet you're not making a conscious effort to do it. It's spontaneously happening, and you're moving in that spontaneous tone. So now you're incrementally increasing the tone. So this is what I want to talk about with you now. So keep doing the bounce. Is if you close your fist like this, so just the smallest amount of effort to close your fists. So you're not squeezing at all. Just an effort to close them. So let's say that effort is 1. Okay. Now we're going to go on a scale of 1 to 10, where you're actively toning. So now go to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you're at your max with 10. Okay. Now I want you to hold 10. All the muscles in the hands are working. You see they're pumping a little bit too. So keep them at 10. Now what you're not doing is you're not going to 11 or 12 or 13 or 14. You're just holding them at 10. And there's a discipline to be able to hold the tone of the muscle, to fully engage the tone of the muscle to its limit, and then hold it there. Now we're going to do 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then release. So we're going to get pieces out in the legs today. You're toning the different leg muscles, bringing them up 1, 2, 3. We're going to tone the muscles all the way to 10, and then we're going to actively release them. So your leg muscles or all your body muscles, they're never passive. There's a space where you're in your natural integrity, where there's the ability for the muscle to tone itself and release itself. So it can shorten when it needs to. It can actively lengthen when it needs to. So while this is shortening, this is lengthening. Okay? While this is lengthening, this is shortening. So that's true in all of your body. When one muscle is lengthening, another muscle is shortening. When you find the balance between both of those muscles, is you have a spontaneous tone, while one is toning and shortening, the other is actively releasing. It's actively lengthening. And you got that lovely sense of effort and no effort. And the no effort it's the letting go, and you're actively letting go of the tone of the muscle. You're able to reduce it. So you bring the tone up and then you reduce the tone down. And that's the balance. And all your muscles in that state, you'd have a very aware body and a very vital body. Okay? Same with all your joints. All the joints, we're still bouncing into these now, all the joints are an expression of a circle. All of them. Circle, 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 circle. Even the joints that sit on each other a little bit, they're all expressions of a circle. All the body makes an expression of a circle. Okay? And loads of circles. So lots of circles. Up and down is a circle. Tilting my pelvis and tucking it is an expression of a circle. It's all a circle. All the actions of the joints is a circle. So now how we use the resistance, and then as we get the lift coming back up through, it's that tone and release in the muscles, and it's the movement of circles in the body. I'll give you an example. If I'm going to plant my hand into the floor, is my wrist, I want it stable and straight, but to get the lift up through my arm, I rotate the hard part of my elbow, I bring it in a little, back and in, and the soft part I rotate forward and out a little bit. And that gives me a rise where I roll my shoulder blade back, connecting my shoulder blade onto the back of my rib cage. Shoulder comes away from the ear, and my rib cage is looking to meet my shoulder blade. So I get that connection. With my feet is I'm planting through the four corners of my feet. So I have a nice stable ankle, and I push back through my knees to get the rise, and I come up through the ball and socket of my joint. Now, as I hold the pelvis level, it keeps the joint open. Okay. Now, if I'm collapsing in a little bit, I may need to rotate my thighs a little bit. I may need to do that. If they're collapsing in, look at the arches, collapse in, knees collapse in, the ball and socket here turns in and it sends my pelvis out. I push down, I lift up through, I rotate, I tuck the pelvis, and I've got that lovely clear alignment. Now, that will be true in all the standing postures. It'll be the same mechanics. And this is what we're going to get into today. The more you understand the mechanics of it, is your alignment is the same in every posture. Like you've got your line of force and how your body works. You could do 100 different postures, but your body's alignment is exactly the same in all of them. You're looking to keep those lines of force engaged. So it simplifies the whole thing. So you'll notice that the more we go through the different positions, you're going to start to hear me repeat myself. So we're still in this bounce. How does the connection through your feet feel? Or how is it? How is the connection between your feet and the floor now? Can you feel yourself sinking in a little bit more? Can you feel the organic connection between your feet and the floor, the mat? It's much more enlivened. It's more awareness, more energy. How's the heat in your thighs? How's the energy in your thighs? Getting a bit more? Okay, so you can see we're warming up. It generates quite a bit of heat. So now what we're going to do is we're going to begin to increase the tone in the thighs a little bit more. Okay, so while we're here like this, if you want to put your hands on your hips and elbows back, shoulders open, is what I'm going to get you to do is knees are bending a little more, is bend your knees and keep doing a little bounce. Now your knees come behind your toes, your sit bones come behind your heels, but your breastbone comes forward as a counterweight So you're still on the four corners of your feet. So your heels are planted, but so too are the balls of your feet and the length of your toes. You want the three arches of your feet still working. Now notice when your knees bend a little bit, your thighs are working a bit more. You're increasing them. So now the question I have for you is how would you describe the tone in your thighs? How would you describe it? What level of intensity would you say it is? What level of intensity would you say? Now, whatever your answer is, that's what it is, yeah? So it might be 3 or 4, it might be 4 or 5. Now, can you bend your knees a little bit more? A little bit more. Again, keeping the neck nice and long, breastbone and navel a little bit together. Feel your core work. So as you bounce, you feel your thighs, you feel your calves, hamstrings, your glutes, your inner thighs, your glutes. Now, feel your pelvic floor and your core. That's how you know you've got the root and rise. That's how you know you've got your alignment. If you're not sure, stick your bum out like a duck. Now it goes tight in the lower back and you lose your pelvic floor and your abdominal wall. Now send your tailbone down a little bit until you feel the pelvic floor engaged, until you feel breastbone and groin, feel the core. Now notice you can see I'm getting a little taller and I'm getting that root and rise. But look, the thighs, what are they at now? What are we at now? 6, 7, 8, 8. Can you go a little lower? Can you go to 9? Can you just gently do that bounce at 9 and hold 9? Can you hold 10 in the thighs? Now go to the level that you're in control. So while you're pumping the thighs, okay, if you brace like that, you've lost control, is ease back. Straighten your knees a little bit and it eases off the intensity. So control the tone by controlling the intensity. And once you're okay with the intensity, is again, remember, just let your body spontaneously tone itself. What you're paying attention to is your center of gravity, and then your alignment. And the more you get your alignment, what you're bouncing in is really it's gravity. So gravity's drawing you down, and there's a natural rebound effect back up, and you're just moving with those forces. They're real forces in the world, and you're just working them through you. So you're getting out of the way of trying to control the muscle and controlling your alignment, and then just letting the muscles do the work. Okay, so how are you getting on? How firm are your thighs? Okay, now from there, up we come. So back into a nice simple mountain, a little soft knee, and then a little sway. A little sway. A little engagement in your hands. Now explore how your feet feel into the mat. Explore how your thighs feel as you sway around. And again, notice how the tone in your thighs has increased. You're going to feel it more. And then I want you to just keep swaying around the four corners of your feet and let yourself flow spontaneously in tone and release around your legs. And while you're feeling that extra tone, you're also bringing the release into it, your ability to maintain the balance of the effort. Okay? And notice how your sense of ground, like literally your feet into the floor you're much more rooted. You can feel all of your body much more rooted into itself. And you got that lovely tone of rise. You got a lovely tone of rise, just relax into it. Breathe a little to your navel, your rib cage, and to your upper chest. Now, if you're used to doing my classes or you're used on teacher training, you'll know what I'm like in the sense of, the intensity that I work at. So if you're the first time here and you're just getting a sense of it, you're like, Jesus, what's he doing to me? Is go easy with it. Is go with it, but go easy with it. Yeah. Is the simplest thing is control the intensity. Everything I'm asking you to do not do it at a level that the intensity is controlling you. And what that means is that if your body starts to brace, is because it's too intense. Is ease off until you can feel the tone and intensity, and that you can relax into it, that you're not going to brace in it. And in that, you're in control, and then you're exploring the limits. And we're looking at activating the lines of force in us and controlling the tone as it moves through the body. And we want to be able to bring it up and then bring it down. So now we're going to explore, and very much we were working on the root there, so you'll notice you're much more rooted. Now we're going to focus on the rise. Okay, now if you're more familiar with this, again, you might get it pretty easy. If you're not so familiar with it, is again, give it a little bit of time. Don't overthink it. But there is one thing that you need to get right to feel it, and I'm going to explain what it is, and you'll see it. It's a bounce again. But the active part of it is different. The first bounce, I was getting you to bounce down. So you're focusing on your knees coming forward. So as you bounce, they're coming back, forward and back, but as you bounce, you're focusing the emphasis on down, okay? And that's the rooting, okay? Now to get to rise, you have to shift your emphasis where you're now focusing on bouncing the knee back. So when you bounce the knee back, it still goes forward, but it's the active bounce back that gives you the root down, and it gives you the rise, the lift up through, okay? Now I'm working within the four corners of my feet. I'm working in my center of gravity and the natural integral tone of my body. What I'm not doing is I'm not snapping my knees back into hyperextension. I constantly stay in the integral tone of my body. There's no compression. There's no attacking in it. It's all just good energy is rising up. So you get the root and the rise. So now let's give it a go. So sometimes is when people are bouncing is they get used to the bouncing down is easier, and people get used to bouncing the knee down. The emphasis on bouncing it down. So now if you're used to that and you want to shift, you have to stop for a moment and then actively start bouncing back. It's like changing gears a little bit. You got to bounce the knee back. You'll see kids do it. Do you ever see young kids do it when they're excited? They're like this. Young kids, and you've got the lift. See the vigor? It gives you that vital bounce. Okay? So literally we're reconnected back to that uplift, that bounce within us. Okay? So now how do you know you're getting it? Is when you bounce the knee back, you're going to feel your feet push into the floor a little bit more. So you still got the root, but now you're going to start to feel your thighs drawing up. You get the lift up through your thighs. Okay? And I want you to focus on the lift up through the thighs. So while your thighs are drawn up, you're going to feel an energy lifting up through it. Now keep your pelvis neutral. Okay, and as you bounce the knee back, you're actually bouncing an energy up through your pelvic floor. Your perineum starts to act more. You get that lovely drawn up sensation. You'll feel your trunk get a little tighter, and you feel a toning, but a lengthening in your spine. So while you're doing it, breathe into your navel, breathe into the sides of your rib cage and your upper chest. So you're going to allow the rib cage to expand a little deeper, and as you do, let it float up. And let that energy just move up through you. I could talk about all the way up through the body, but another day. I just want you to feel the rise up through the legs today, up through your pelvic floor. Okay? Now, it's a lovely practice to do that you can tap into the energetics. You're getting into the energetics of it. And this is the baseline that you're going to bring into all your other postures. So you don't have to bounce in all the postures, but you want to feel that lift up through. So it's grounding yourself in that fundamental energetic experience. A nice way to do the practice when you're at home is pick a song. Pick a song that has a little bit of a bounce in it, and just bounce in it, and just feel it uplifting you. Literally feel the energy just come up through you. Okay, it's really nice. Okay, now from here is let your knees slightly soften again. Activate the hands And again, let your eyes close for this one. And what I want you to do is begin to breathe your navel, your rib cage, and your upper chest. And let that space open between the hips and the rib cage, between the base of the neck and the base of the skull. It's just allow the full extension of your spine. Get that release in your spine. So while the tailbone goes slightly down, the top of the skull goes slightly up, and everything in between opens up, and then you're just breathing and swaying it. And again, feel both energies. The energy that's drawn down, gravity drawn down through us, let it come down through your bones. And you're aligning your bones, the lovely fluid energy, that's a line of force. The rebound effect comes up through our muscles. The arches of the feet, the leg muscles, tongue, pelvic floor draws up, the trunk tightens in, the abdominals, the rib cage opens, shoulders come away from the ears, collarbone, shoulder blades sit on the rib cage and the spine. It releases the back of the neck right up to the top of the skull. You get a lovely release down the arms and the ball socket joint. So you've got that resting down through your bones, and then that rebound coming up through your muscles, and then you're moving through your center of gravity. You're moving and swaying in the integral tone of your body. You're in the yield, and yielding is both those energies together. It's not one, it's not the other, it's both together. So you feel grounded, but you feel uplifted. And it gives you that lovely spaciousness. And that's the fundamental practice for your body, but then for every posture. It gives you your stability, then it gives you the lift up, which opens up your joints, gives you the mobility, and then it gives you the flexibility as you go into the posture. And as you reach the limit of your flexibility, that's your edge. You're looking to explore your edge. Now, to do that, you want to do micro movements. You want to be able to move in micro movements. And it's good to move in micro movements all the time. And what I mean by that is that when you start in on a posture, you have a lot of space. You know, you could do bigger movements, but the problem is that when you go deeper into your body, is the space becomes more restricted, is you have to make your movements smaller and smaller and smaller. When you meet the edge, is you're in micro movements to be able to hold the subtlety of that edge. So you're better off moving in micro movements all the time, because it allows you to explore that edge incrementally. By the time you get to it, you're already in the space to hold it. You've prepared yourself for it. Does that make sense? And then it brings in a lovely flow. Brings in a lovely flow and connection to the body. Okay, so let's play around with a few different positions. Yeah. So if you put your hands on your hips, what I want you to do is step your feet out. Step your feet out about 3.5 feet or so, and just turn your toes in a little bit, about 15 degrees or so, as if we were going to do triangle, but we're not. We're just putting the feet in this position. So toes are turned in 15 degrees. Now we're going to look at the center of gravity, the root and the rise, and we're also going to explore the rotations in the body. How do the rotations work? Okay. So now the toes turned in 15 degrees is make no effort in your body. Make no effort in your body. Now notice how you just feel like a weight. The weight is just sinking down through your body. So now what I want you to do is push the feet into the mat and slightly away from each other. Now you're actively resisting into the floor, and also it gives you a tone up through your body. You can feel that tone. Now if you leave your hands on your hips, I want you to see me, if you leave your hands on your hips, if you do a little shimmy, literally with the hips, if you do a little shimmy, notice how it plants the four corners of your feet. You always want the four corners of your feet connected, your arches engaged. Now when you do a shimmy, it naturally rotates your ankles. Your ankles rotate out, it engages the knee joint, and it naturally rotates the ball socket joint. And your tailbone naturally sits. So when you do this, can you feel your calves work? Can you feel your thighs, your inner thighs, your hamstrings, your glutes? Can you feel your pelvic floor? Can you feel your core? Okay, and if you can, is you've got your lines of force right. Now, ease off on that. Let's look at the mechanics of it. Is if you turn your knees in, look at how the ankles turn in, the ankles start to collapse. And as the ankles collapse, the knees are collapsing on the inside, the ball and sockets turn in like this, and it forces the hip, the hip to tilt. So it starts to spill out a little bit. Now I'm exaggerating so you can see. Now when I push through the four corners of my feet and I push away slightly, look how it helps rotate my ankles. It lets me straighten out the hinge joint of my knee. So I'm rotating my thighs out a little bit, and that rotates the ball and socket joint, which gives the hip space so that this tailbone can go slightly down and I can sit into the hip socket. So it gives me that natural alignment. When I do a little shimmy like this, just like this, it spontaneously puts me in my alignment. It does the work for me, and it lets me feel it all. So while you can constantly think about it all the time, it becomes a bit of effort when you're perpetually scanning your body. See this little shimmy? It lets you feel it all. You can feel it all much, much easier. And you know the ground. You can feel the ground. Okay, can you feel the draw up through your legs, up through your pelvic floor and your core? You can feel it all. So that's telling you you've got the root and the rise. Okay? Now, if you lose it, is just turn a foot out, any foot. And then what I want you to do is lean to the outside of your heel. Okay, now the toes don't have to move, but lean to the outside of your heel. Okay, now, so you're not pressing down through the ball, you're not pressing down through the four corners of the feet. Do the same thing. And you can feel the difference. Does that make sense? Is if the foot is not down and planted, is you'll know it. If the foot is planted, is you know you're in your alignment. You found your natural integrity. Regardless of have you got the posture right or not. But this is important. Have you got the posture right or not? So let's look at one of the directions for triangle. It would be that you turn your left foot in 15 degrees, or your left toes in 15 degrees. You would lift and rotate the ball of the right foot 90 degrees, and basically you have your right heel in line with your heel or your ankle, more so your ankle. So that's the classical guideline, okay? Now the problem with that is that if a person has a tight right hip, taking this foot out 90 degrees means that the knee is going to turn in. Or people have a tendency to do 10 to 2, it goes too far. Okay, so now this is the guideline, 90 degrees. Now what I'm going to ask you to do is bring your foot back. Okay, so left foot is in 15. I want you to take your right foot out, not 90, rotate it out so that you can find the four corners of your feet. Okay, so when you do this here, is check, can you feel the four corners of your feet rooted? And when you do this little shimmy, it'll tell you a lot about, have you got your organic ground? Have you got the rightness of it? Okay, so you're checking that out. Now, if you go a little bit more, have you still got the four corners of your feet? Okay, if not, you bring your toes back until you do. Now what happens is that you're going to have, remember the ball and socket joint here? Your knee to your second toe. Where if I do this here, I'll show you this way. If I go too far, if I do 10 to 2 and my knee is going this way, you can see that I don't have that clear alignment. That's not going to feel very stable. So you're looking to have hip, knee, second toe. If your hip is tight, you bring it in, so you always have hip, knee, and second toe. Okay, and that's where a person is finding their alignment, where you're finding your true alignment, and you're working within the limits of your own root, but then also the limits of your mobility. You've got to get your mobility and bring it with you before you even attempt to do your flexibility. Okay? Now, so here we are. So now we've got to look at getting a real sense of stability in legs with mobility. So now we're going to make it a little stronger. So now what I want you to do is I want you to lock out your right leg. So what that means is the same as before. You're keeping the four corners of your right foot on the ground. Is you're drawing the right hip back and you're pressing through your knee joint, but firmly at the same time pulling up through your right thigh. So you're getting that root and rise. To do that, you got to lock out your left leg as well. So look, it rotates the left thigh and it draws the left hip back. So you've got this real strong grounding in your feet. You got the rise up through your legs, and you've got a firm grounding in your pelvic floor. Okay, so you'll hear it classically as is you plant the feet, lift up through your legs, rotate the thighs out, and sit into the hips. Okay, so now check it with both legs locked out. Is you're intensifying the tone. So now, how firmly can you increase that tone? How strong can you make your legs feel? I want you to go up 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now the question is, do you need to do 10 here? No, you don't. But can you do 10 here? Yes, you can. Okay, now ease it back down so that you can now feel the root and the rise, and you may bring yourself back down to a tone that's about 5 or 6. Okay, you understand? So you're in the tone that keeps you in the root and rise. Okay, now how it gets stronger is when you draw your hips back, you still got to plant this leg. When you draw the hips back, you're lifting out of your right hip and you're hinging over. Now just do it a little bit, even with your hands on the hips. We're not going to do the whole posture. As you draw the hips back, remember, this leg stays back and locked out. You're lifting out of your right hip, rotate the chest, just hinge over a little bit. Now, the question I have for you is, what level of intensity has your legs increased to? Are you at a 6 or a 7 now? If you went over a bit more, are you going to an 8? Are you going to a 9? I want you to explore the limit of how far you can go. Now, here's a question for you. What muscles are you feeling most? Because this thigh is shortening, okay, but this hamstring and calf are lengthening. This thigh is shortening, this calf and hamstring are lengthening. Which one, or another muscle, which one is feeling the strain the most? Okay, so if you went to here, which one is feeling the strain the most? You might feel the glutes, might even be your trunk. But wherever you're feeling it, is I need you to focus on the muscle that's most challenged, and I need you to ease back until that muscle is in control. It's got the tone, and you have your stability in it, you have your mobility. Now you're exploring your flexibility with your mobility and with your stability. So focus on the muscle that's most challenged, and I need you to ease back until you can hold that one. Okay, and you can even do a little bit of this. See this here? Still a little bit of bounce. It keeps the mobility and the tone. There's a nice organic flow to it. So you're still in the tone, but you're also able to release it. Okay, and again, we're challenging the intensity. So more and more of the body is working, but we're making sure that the muscle that's most challenged has control. So while overall the body's getting more intense, you're still in control. Okay. Okay, now from here, now we come. Hands on the hips, stepping the foot in. Okay, so now, back into a nice simple sway. Back into a nice simple sway. Now, notice what you feel. Okay, so can you notice that your left foot seems really grounded, actually seems deeper into the mat than your right foot. Your right foot's grounded too, but the left seems like it's deeper because the left leg was doing more holding, so to speak. It was that counterbalance to your right. Now, because your right hamstring and right calf were lengthening, notice how the back of your right leg feels taller. So it almost feels like you're standing taller on your right leg than you are on your left leg. And there's even a sense of lengthening, a flow of energy moving through your right hip. Okay, because we went into the right leg and we lengthened the back of it more. So you're feeling that extra bit of rise coming through. Okay, So obviously we're going to do the other side. So hands on the hips. Stepping your feet out. 3.5 feet or so. Toes turned in 15 degrees. Okay. And again, elbows back, shoulders open, a little shimmy. And with a little shimmy, notice that you're on the four corners of your feet. And that resistance naturally rotates the ankles. See, they rotate out. You push back through your knee joint while you pull up through your thighs. Okay, so the thighs are naturally rotating out. That's going to open up the hips so the tailbone goes down slightly. So as you do a shimmy, you're finding your pelvic floor and you're finding your core. Okay, now we could do the whole thing and really kick in the power, but I want to keep it to the legs today. Okay, so we're here. Now, we would lift and rotate the ball of the left foot. Classically, it would be 90 degrees or less. So you have to look, here's your ball and socket joint. There's your knee. There's your second toe. So if you need to bring the foot in, so you have that alignment, great. Now, if you're looking down at your leg, and it looks a little bit like this, so with the knee is going that way and the foot is going that way, is you need to have your foot come to meet your knee. Okay, because the reason being is if you try to force your knee to meet your foot, is you're not opening your hip. You're actually you're twisting here. You're not really opening the hip at all. So if your hip is tight, it can be like this. So now you have to bring your foot to meet your knee. Okay? So you're stabilizing your ground and you're able to work your line of force. So you're working within the alignment of your body. You're not just chasing the posture. The posture is a means to an end. It's your body that you're doing the posture for. It's to learn how your body works, not how the posture works. So the more you figure that out, is once you figure out your alignment, is you figured out all the postures. Because you look at any posture and you follow your alignment, and then you're following the posture incrementally from the ground up, you're working through it, and all the postures demystify. Does that make sense? Because you know how your body works. If you don't know how your body works, you look at every posture, you're going to see them all as individuals, and it just seems like it's all a bit of a mystery. It's not. Okay, so we're here, lifting the left foot out 90 degrees or less. Now, how do you check? Check, do a little shimmy. Right foot's turned in 15 degrees, left foot's out 90 degrees or less. But now, when you do that shimmy, can you feel the four corners of both your feet? And again, the left heel is in line with the ankle or so, yeah? So you're feeling those four corners of your feet. Okay, now if you're not getting the four corners of your feet, I'm repeating myself on purpose. If you're doing 10 to 2 with the left foot, you feel a lot of weight on the outside of your left heel. That's telling you to bring your toes in a little bit until your weight distribution is through the four corners of your feet. And when you feel that, look how stable it is. Look how much power. Like I'm working from my hips now, but look how much power I have because my feet are grounded. Like there's a lot of power that comes in. Yeah. When we start doing a flow class, you can actually bring a lot of power into your flow because you're working from the ground up. Okay, so it layers into all the other styles as you develop the practice. Yeah. But here now, as you do this, notice how it opens up the ankles. You get the tone in your knee joint. Push the knees back a little bit. Pull up through the thighs. But notice how the thighs naturally rotate out. That gives you the space to send the tailbone down. So there's your core and your pelvic floor. Now look, do it with a locked out leg. So we're rather than the left knee bent, lock it out. Lock it out. Both legs are locked out and do this. Tailbone down. And notice how much more you can feel. It's restrictive, but notice how much more you can feel the core, the trunk of your body. So you've got your lines of force and you've brought it all the way to your core. So you're rooting and you're rising. So now again, open the chest this way, forward, hands on the hips, elbows back. Okay, shoulders back a little bit, neck nice and long. Now the question is what tone are you at now? What's the tone in your legs and your pelvic floor and your core? Okay, now when you draw the hips back, you're planting this leg, keeping this leg really stable so that it allows you to, your right leg, so it allows you to lift out of your left hip, out of the left hip, up and over like this. So you're lifting out of the hip, which gives it its mobility. And look, excuse me, now you're challenging the flexibility of your left hip. You're rooting, you're rising, the mobility. Now here's your flexibility. As you go over, now what muscle? Is it your calf? That feeling it is the hamstring, your thighs, the trunk. Where is it? What muscle are you feeling that you can't control or it's too much? And then ease back until you're in the space where you can control all the muscles. And it's the one that feels weakest is the one at your limit. You're holding the edge of that muscle. And then let all the other muscles in your body support that. Okay? And nice and strong. Now, one of the things people can do in this is they collapse this knee joint. Is they just lean. Now I'm just leaning on my heel. I'm just leaning in the knee joint. My thigh muscle's gone soft. You can see I'm sinking into the hip. And you can see I'm starting to collapse. You get this collapsing thing. So again, a lot of end gaming, people think they're in it, all they're doing is collapsing. So watch now, I'm going to reactivate my foot with my mobility and my stability. And my edge becomes more intense, but I've got to move in those micro movements. Okay? And again, where's your limit? Where's the muscle? Okay? And then out we come. Hands on the hips. Turn the left foot in. Stepping the feet in a little bit. 4 to 6 inches. Little soft knee. And again, let's sway around the 4 corners. And notice how you feel like you're standing taller. That the right leg feels slightly bit more deeper in than the left this time. You got that extra little bit of lengthening in the left leg because you've been lengthening the calf and hamstring. Now you've been lengthening both, so it's not as imbalanced, doesn't feel the imbalance you did last time. So you can feel that there's a lengthening through both legs as well as the right foot feels a little more grounded. There's a lengthening through both legs. Now let yourself sway. Let yourself come back into that spontaneous tone and release in your center of gravity, and breathe nice and slow and deep into your navel. Let the rib cage expand. Let it float up a little bit and engage the trunk. The spine will get a little longer, lower spine. Breathe into your upper chest. Shoulders will come away from the ears. Extend through your arms. Activate the hands. Lengthen the back of the neck. Right up through the top of the skull. And let that energy just rise. You're raising energy and breathing. And notice how you're increasing the natural tone in your body. Your body's getting stronger. Your muscles are getting firmer, but they maintain and retain the ability to let go too. You're coming into the balance of the muscles. You're coming into the balance of the joints, which is their mobility. And then the flexibility is that beautiful openness with which you feel. Even in mountain posture, you're experiencing flexibility. You're just recognizing it easily as openness. When you go into a posture where your openness is more challenging, is you recognize that as the limit of how far you can go open. That's your flexibility. And then breathe. Okay, and then just let your eyes close for a sec. Now what I want you to do is breathe a little slower, breathe a little deeper. I want you to just float in your body a little bit. Okay, just checking. I have the same problem. Lose it. Okay, just checking some questions. Okay, so from here is we're going to do another position. So I'm going to get you to step your feet out 4.5 feet or so. Okay, So 4.5 feet or so, and your toes are turned in 15 degrees. Now with your toes turned in 15 degrees, is notice now you're going to feel more pressure on the ankles, okay? You're going to feel more of a pressure on the ball and socket joint because you're opening the hips more, okay? So now, here's what I want you to do. Hands on the hips, elbows back, shoulders open, little shimmy. And as you do a little shimmy is have the four corners of your feet planted. If it's too tight in the hip or the ankle, you step your foot in a little bit. So you've got that grounding in your feet. So you want to maintain that grounding in your feet. Okay, now in this position again, as you do the little shimmy, is the ankles are rotating outwards. And again, that's the swivel joint. And as you plant the foot, you want to open the ankle to get the lift. Where see if it collapses in, you're collapsing. You want to rotate the thigh to open up the ankle. But you want to push back through your knee joint and pull up through your thighs for the root and rise to get that power in your leg. Now at the same time, as you rotate the thighs, it opens up your hips. And because of the position we're in, you actively have to send the tailbone down that little bit more. You got to put a little bit more effort into stabilizing your hips. Okay, so the shimmy like this is going to do all that work for you. And again, there's the rotations in the body. Okay, now if you do it back and forward, if you do it like this, is go find your pelvic floor and your core. Go find your pelvic floor and your core. Notice how you find your thighs, you find your hamstrings, you find your calves, all the way through to the muscles in the feet. You feel them tone a lot more. So it just brings you into that tone. Now, it does increase the intensity. So now you can ease off in the back and forward. What level of intensity would you say you're at now? What level of intensity are you at? 7-ish, 8-ish, maybe 6-ish. If you're quite flexibility, it's probably 6-ish. Okay, so now we're going to lift and rotate the ball of the right foot, remember, 90 degrees or less. So now think about, here's your hip, here's your knee, and then all the way down to the second toe. If your hip is tight, if you stepped out and you felt that it was tight on the hip, when you turn your foot out, is that same tightness is going to be there. So you got to be careful that follow your knee while you're rotating your thigh, wherever that knee joint comes through, all the way down to the second toe. Okay, so that you can, if you do a little shimmy like this, it lets you test again. Have you got the four corners of your feet? Have you got the four corners of your feet? A lot of times people, again, they have a tendency to go too far with the foot that's turned out. So they're doing a 10 to 2 and they're leaning on the outside of the heel. Okay, now what happens is that they're pulling at the knee, but it sticks the bum out like a duck. So they're out of alignment and they won't feel stable. That feels very, very weak on the knee. So now you're like this here with your knee bent. Okay, you've got your alignment. Now check the four corners of your feet. Okay, now on this one is you're opening your hips more. Okay, now as you shimmy through the four corners of your feet, notice how again it works the calves and the shins. Notice how it works you through your knee joint. So lock out your left leg. Lock out your left leg. Okay, and let both thighs rotate out. Okay, and as you do, send your tailbone down. Feel your pelvic floor and your core. Okay, now ease off in the shimmy, but keep a little bit. See this here? This is your mobility. This is like the sway of your center of gravity. And see this here? This is the root and the rise. This is the bouncing in your knee, but it's the root and the rise. Okay. Now it's micro movements. Remember, it's not clunky. It's not compression. It's maintaining that vibrancy in the muscles. It's maintaining that mobility in the joints. And now, as you see how I'm inching this foot out, as I inch the foot out, I'm sitting deeper through my sit bones. I'm sending the tailbone down. I'm coming up through the spine here. Yeah? Hands on the hips, elbows back, shoulders open. And again, you're rotating both thighs. So the more you get into this, you start to feel the openness in the hips. Okay? And again, is now the intensity. What level of intensity are you at? What's the muscle? If you need to ease out, what's the muscle that's most challenged? What's the muscle that's most challenged? And whatever that muscle is you have to hold the intensity of that muscle with control. You got to ease it out. You got to ease it out. Stay with that muscle, whatever it is. And keep both legs nicely engaged. And you're just getting used to building strength in your legs, but also building strength in the mobility of your joints. Look how much at this ankle, look how much these hips are working. So they're opening more. So you're working on the mobility, but you want it with stability. You got your mobility. Now you're challenging how far into it can you go, and staying open, it gives you your flexibility. And one of the things people do when they close off is they lean like that. And what they do is they're leaning into the hip socket here, and they're locking into the hip. So you draw the body back to open this hip, and you'd be extending back like this. Another day's work. Just feel the space here where you've got the strengthening in your legs, you've got the opening in your hips, you've got the stability, the mobility, and then you've got your flexibility. And you're just exploring it. Now, the more you're getting into your mobility and stability, you're going to feel the ligaments and the muscles around the hip sockets work. If you don't feel that, it's generally because we're closed off. You really want to open those hips, really get those ligaments working, get those hips open. The legs are nice and firm. Okay, and then it's just getting used to the letting the natural integrity of your muscles increase, without fighting. No fighting them. So again, if you find you're bracing, is ease back a little bit. Ease back that you can just hold the tone and let the body do the work. Okay? And then from there, we're going to straighten out the leg, rotate the foot in, and stepping both feet in again, and separate the feet, hip width apart. And now, let's sway. Okay? A little soft knee. Now notice, as you sway around the four corners of your feet, is how do your feet feel? Notice the engagement of the soles of the feet is the root and rise is very engaged in the soles of the feet to the floor. You can root down, but you can also feel the tone up. And notice what you can feel in your right ankle, your right knee, your hip socket, and then your calf, your shin, your thigh. Notice how they all feel well worked. That the tone has worked. Now let yourself come back into the release as well. As you sway around your center of gravity, let the muscles release as well. Come back into that spontaneous tone and release. Okay? And just feeling the natural integrity increasing the tone. Now you decrease it. And again, you're exploring the intensity of how firm you can feel the muscle, and also how much you can then release into it. Okay? Now I know we're doing an hour and a half session, and we're just standing and we've done very few postures. You don't need to do this all the time, but it's when you establish the fundamentals, the foundation of how your body works and coming into its lines of force is now, imagine you went and you did one of these standing postures and you held it for a minute or two. You'd be in the ease of it, but you'd be fully in your strength. You'd be fully in your mobility and your flexibility, and holding it for a minute or two, it becomes easy. You can stay light in it. So as you get more and more into this, is how do you bring that lightness in? So holding for an extended period of time is a very good thing to do at the start, because it's going to discipline you to be mindful, is to learn how to incrementally increase the intensity and release off it. So you really got to focus on your body and go with that. Is at no point you'll hear me say, stay in that now and don't dare come out of it. And, no pain, no gain, just keep going. No, I've been asking you to be very, very mindful all the way through. So think about how many micro movements of adjustments that you would have done within yourself to maintain your ground. to maintain your tone, your mobility. All those little adjustments are your awareness of your body really opening up. So you're getting into that feedback loop about where your body really is engaged, how it is engaged, and then the rightness of it. Okay? So it's worth taking the time to figure all that out. So you ready for the other side? So now we're going to step the feet out 4.5 feet or so. Okay, turn your toes in 15 degrees. Okay, now hands on the hips, elbows back, shoulders open, and again with the knees just a little softness in them, so that you can feel the four corners of your feet first. You want to make sure that you feel your feet rooted. You want to feel the ground beneath them. Okay. Now from there, if you slowly start to push through your knee joint and pull up through your thighs, is notice how that it begins to open up the ankles a bit more. They rotate out. As you rotate your thighs, it opens up your hips. Now actively send the tailbone down. And as you do the shimmy, is feel the power on the legs kick in and feel your pelvic floor and your core kick in. So literally see if you can do the work from your core now. See if you make the movement come from your core. Okay, now again, if we get into a core class, is we'd have all the work coming from the core. At the moment, I'm getting you to work on the feet and feel it up. As you go more into it, is you make the power come from the core itself. It shifts the emphasis of your power. Yeah. Okay, for now, I want you to lift and rotate the ball of your left foot. Classically, you'd be told 90 degrees, but where are you within that? Where can you keep your alignment in your knee? And even pull back a little bit more. So you go, there's my alignment with my knee, I have it. Can you go a little further, keeping it aligned with the second toe? So you're testing that. Now you got to remember, is a lot of times people will do this. I'm exaggerating it so you can see. They'll take their left foot out, and at the same time, they'll swivel this hip around. So this left hip hasn't really opened here because you just brought the right hip around. So look, here's the shimmy. You're rotating both thighs. When you lift and rotate your left leg, you keep the right thigh rotating back. So when you do the shimmy again, you should still have the root and rise, tailbone down. Have you got your pelvic floor and your core? Well, then you know you're in your alignment. Regardless of what the guidelines of the posture say, is you're actually in your tone. You've got the lines of force working for you. That's what's most important. Okay, now I'm stepping out a little wider because warrior two. So from here, bend your knee, your left knee a little bit. Okay, now you bend your left knee a little bit. Again, I want you to do this. And the reason being is, again, the shimmy between both feet. It lets you activate the legs and rotate the thighs. They're naturally rotating. Now you've got to send the tailbone down. You've got to sit into your hips. Okay. Now you can step the foot out more if you want. Do you still have control of your legs? Can you do the bounce? Have you got your mobility? Have you got that root and rise in you? Have you got that space? Now notice as you go further in, it's micro movements. Okay, so it's not compression, it's not attacking, you're not compounding anything. You're just keeping the micro movements in. You're keeping that bounce. It keeps your joints free while you're working the toners. So you got your stability and you've got the mobility within. So it gives you that little bit of space. Okay, and this back leg is staying nice and strong, rotating both thighs. You're testing your limit. Hands on the hips, elbows back, shoulders open. You're testing the limit. Now, where's your limit? You got to really feel the ligaments around the ball and sock lines. Really feel the legs work. Okay. Now again, now you're at a tone where you're testing the tone and control. Now, which muscle are you feeling it most? Your thigh, your inner thigh, your glutes. Your right thigh, could be any muscle, but focus on the one that's most challenged. And what I want you to do is ease back and support it so that the muscle that's most challenged is stable. And then have the rest of all your muscles is keep that muscle stable, get it supported. So rooting down, lifting up through. Okay, so breastbone and groin going a little bit together. Careful with the propping. If you feel like you're leaning over here to the left a little bit, is draw the body back and let this hip open. If you're not sure, if you lean in, you'll feel that pressure. As you draw back, you feel the pressure come off, and you'll feel more weight come down through your right leg. So you're sitting in to nice, strong, open hips. So there's your flexibility, but you've got the mobility and you've got your stability, and it's intense. And you've got to let yourself just not fight it. Just let yourself be in it. Let the natural integrity of your body take over. And if it's too much, you just ease back a little bit. Okay, you just get used to finding that power in the lines of force. Okay, now from there, hands on the hips, is straighten out the left leg a little bit, and then up we come. And again, plant the feet, a little soft knee, activate the hands, and now come back into your sway. And as you come into your sway, just let your eyes close for a sec, and then notice how your feet feel. That firmly rooted, but also there's that lovely lift up through the arches of the feet. You have that beautiful tone in your calves, your thighs, your inner thighs, your hamstrings, your glutes, your pelvic floor, your core, the trunk of your body. Breathe into your navel a little bit, breathe into your rib cage, let yourself float through your lower spine. Breathe into your upper chest, let your shoulders float away from the ears, let the neck go long right up to the top of your skull. Now make no conscious effort in your muscles, but consciously keep yourself swaying around the four corners of your feet. Let the muscles just do what the muscles do. And just find that natural integrity, the spontaneity of the muscle, and then go deeper into the spontaneity of the release. Notice how your release feels deeper. You're releasing more deeply into the muscles. And you'll feel it as an integral tone where all of your muscles are engaging and all of your muscles are releasing. And there's that perpetual sharing of the load. And then you're moving through your center of gravity, where all of your body is moving as one. And you got this beautiful tone, and then just let yourself relax into it and breathe. Okay, and breathe. Now, what we're going to do next is we're going to lie down and do a relaxation. So let yourself lie flat on your back. 25 past, can you believe that? Yeah. A couple of Bernie and Paul are saying that connection is a bit weak. I'll check it when I go back and I'll see what I can do about it. Yeah. So you're flat on your back. Maybe I'll show you. You're lying flat on your back. Hands down by the side of your body, palms turned upwards. Feet with your hips, let the feet rest outwards. Now I'm going to talk you through a nice relaxation today, and we're going to lead with the legs. So the first thing we do is a pick up and drop, just to let the body settle. So I'm going to get you to inhale and raise your right foot off the floor slightly. Now point your toes, away, point your toes, curl your toes, push through your heel, and drop. Inhale, raise both hands slightly off the floor. Make a fist, stretch out your fingers, and drop. Inhale and raise your hips. So taking your backside off the floor and drop. Inhale and raise your chest. So shoulders down, the chest up, and drop. Inhale, squeeze your shoulders up to your ears. Exhale, pushing down to your hips, and relax. Inhale, gently rolling your head to the right. Exhaling to the left. Inhaling to the right. Exhaling to the left. And inhaling back to the center. So again, just let your eyes close and take a quick scan of your body. And Anything you feel you need to do is just allow yourself to do it. Let yourself make any adjustments, anything that will allow you to be more comfortable. And then the basic guideline is lie still. Now, as you lie still, because I've been working a lot on the legs, notice how much awareness is in your legs. Now bring a little bit of awareness to your breath and breathe into your navel, your rib cage, and your upper chest. And just feel those three areas move a little on the inhale and then move a little on the exhale. Now, in your breath, notice that you can still feel that lovely flow of tone and release. That you're connecting down into your center and your center of gravity through the back of your body. And then you're exploring the flow of your center of gravity through the tone and release in your breath. So you'll feel your heels a little firmer into the floor, your calves, your hamstrings, your glutes, all of your legs. You'll feel the weight of your legs just resting a little deeper into the floor. And as you do, is let yourself flow through that lovely expansion on your inhale, contraction on your exhale. And every time you exhale, is feel the beautiful release, the effortlessness of your exhale. And just let that effortlessness in your exhale, just let it be felt deeply in your legs. And just feel all the heaviness of your legs just effortlessly sink into the back of your mat. And as you do, is let your legs guide the rest of your body in this relaxation. So you're going to feel your skin and your legs spread out a little deeper into the floor, and your calf muscles spread out, your hamstrings, your glutes. You'll even feel the thigh and inner thigh release. The pressure's off all the small joints in your feet, the joints in your ankles and your knees and your hip socket. And you just get that little bit of sense of release. The heaviness releasing the muscles and the spaciousness releasing the joints. You just get a lovely sense of letting go. And then notice how the rest of your body begins to follow your legs. So as you breathe a little bit into your navel, it just takes you a little bit deeper into the trunk of your body, all in your own time. As you breathe into your rib cage and your upper chest, it takes you deeper into your body. And as you exhale, you find yourself just letting go into the trunk of your body, letting go into your rib cage, letting go into your shoulders and your arms, letting go into your neck and your head. That you feel your back begin to spread out into the floor, your spine, your shoulders and your shoulder blades, your upper arms, your elbows, your forearms, your wrists, your hands, and most definitely the back of your head. And as you do, feel that deep release in your legs draw the rest of your body deeper into the floor. And that you get to feel your lower body guiding all of your body into the earth. That beautiful connection between your body and the floor. And then notice how deep you feel that connection. How willing your body is to move into that connection. And then just for a couple of minutes, just breathe slow and soft. And just keep letting your body ease. Letting the legs ease. And just notice that you feel yourself easing through the layers of your skin, through the layers of your muscles, through the layers of your ligaments and your joints. the layers of your bones, right through to the very cells of your body. You get these beautiful waves of release. You just continue to lie still, just nice and gently. Just bring a bit more movement into your breath. Just begin to move your fingers and toes, moving your hands and feet, rolling your arms and legs. Just give yourself a little stretch when you're ready. And then nice and gently, hope you come to a sitting position. So thank you for going on that today. I know it was intense. Exploring the incrementally increasing the tone and then decreasing it is very powerful, because once you get into the subtlety of measuring the effort and then relaxing into it, it shifts from strength to power, because you start to work with the lines of force, the yield that the effect gravity has. So unless you challenge yourself enough in that, you won't have that breakthrough. And the breakthrough is that when you stop trying to control the muscles of the body and you just let the spontaneous tone take over, and then you move into that with release. At one point, you just let the energy flow, and then you're not making the effort anymore, your body is, and then your body's moving in those lines of force. So you'll never get that unless you challenge those limits. So once you get it all becomes much easier. So a session like today, it was pretty intense. It would be great to go through all the postures and explore them that way, because once you crack it, it'll be with you for the rest of your life. And again, there's an ease and a lightness that comes into it as well. Something that we're going to explore as we get more and more into it. So it won't always be this intense, but for now, we've got to explore different postures, different positions, and just figure out how to tap into those lines of force. But for now, enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you. See you Friday for restorative, and that's a very different energy.